out if they want to pick or ban. Well, they're going to pick and ban second, but they'll figure out how they want to pick against Dig's first choice.
And this is really important for NRG. If they drop this game, Dignitas is already off to a roaring start to this split, and NRG can't really afford to get 0 points here. Yeah. I mean, this is the most important online split. You're trying to get to Super Regionals. You're trying to guarantee your spot at Worlds. Yes, if NRG is in the online gauntlet, are they favored to win? Absolutely. I don't care who else is there. NRG is probably going to be the favorites in that scenario. But you don't want to put yourself in that scenario, man. You cannot afford to try and make yourself jump through that many hoops just to get to the SMITE World Championships, because to use that many strategies, to put that much strain on yourself, that's asking a really tough task to actually go to Worlds if you get there and then continue to perform at a high level.
At the same time, now no team is going to intentionally put themselves in the losers bracket, as Ardio's banned out. At the same time, is there something to be said about getting that extra practice, that extra time?
Not for NRG, there isn't. If you want to tell me that about a team that just formed,
sure,
you know, that it made some roster changes coming into the fall split.
How about a reality check?
NRG should have already looked in the mirror, honestly. Okay. With making their roster change, that's a reality check to me. To make a change, to remove Dimmy, to bring in Maniac, that tells me that NRG already had their reality check, and they realized they needed to make some changes if they're going to compete with Obey, Rival, Dignitas, these powerhouses at the top of Europe. They're already there. They need to get back to where they don't have to worry about reality as much.
Well, right now, Scotty, Cirquette, Ardio, and Arlog Shed would be the bands out. First pick for Team Dignitas, the Morgan, yes or no?
No, I think I pick Kamazats here if I'm Dignitas. Terra as well. Terra would be a pretty strong pick. I don't think I want to commit to the Morgan quite this early, and Kamazats was an option in that first game, and they didn't go for it. Could also see Robin. Robin usually a pretty strong first pick for Dignitas, and Cuvo Fred really likes it. One of the only junglers who's still playing it consistently on either side of the world, either in Europe or North America. Cuvo, one of the only ones who really prioritizes it. Cullen's very safe as well. I mean, Variety played this very well. In that game, we played the highlight of him making a sick play, and this guy just does so much for you.
Zoots on the other side. NRG will take that, likely in the jungle, although keep an eye out for Maniac possibly pulling it out. Alongside of that pick, I'd like to see the Terra. I think that's a good choice here. A lot of control. Let Dignitas, although, I don't know. The Morgan was very good. It was a part of what made NRG sort of stay close enough, but they're going to go for the Amusing Cobb in this early of the draft. I don't know about that one.
Second pick AMC. We're here.
So, and I'm not doubting AMC's power. I love AMC's power, but we mentioned it during the game. Picking him this early, Ryan, opens up so many opportunities to counterpick him, Terra being one of them.
Terra's a great pick against it, and Dignitas can go with Robin or something like that here and then just jump all over this AMC and have a really easy time. Nemesis. Not a bad pick either, though does get shut down by that Stinger cripple. That double dash does have some problems. AMC, the thing is, on the other side of that coin, AMC has so many counters. I mean, there's a longer list of gods that counter AMC than the list of gods that don't counter AMC.
Yes.
So at some point, you kind of just got to throw caution to the wind and say, look, I'm playing this. I don't care what you play. You have to be confident against the entire cast in order to pick this in this sort of scenario.
Sure, but that's why we traditionally see AMC picked on the bottom. Just like, as I mentioned, you pick an Anubis on the bottom when everything you go, all right, everything in the world counters me. I'm in that one rare scenario where that's not the case, so I select him. Is AMC strong enough to just sort of do the throwing caution to the wind?
I mean, he's had really good success so far here in the fall split. He has a lot of wins. I don't know exactly what his record is, but off the top of my head, it seems to be pretty good. Probably going to be the mid lane here. I imagine that's going to be Kronos in the duo lane, and then it'll be Yaman in the mid lane AMC.
Okay.
I just think that you almost always, even when you pick it at the bottom, there's always, well, yeah, that god's going to counter me here, and this one will too, but we're just going to try and do this the right way. I think that I respect NRG just saying, look, you can pick whatever you want. We've got enough confidence in this pick that Yaman or Emilito, whoever's playing it, is going to make it work, and we don't really care what you pick around it.
All right. All right. I'm not buying it just yet.
I don't blame you.
You're certainly selling it. The Osiris band coming out from Team Dignitas. Interesting. I think that makes sense with the selection of Kamazats. You're a little bit squishy. You need at least one warrior, I kind of think.
Plus, that could have been Kamazats in the solo lane and then Osiris in the jungle. That's kind of an interesting composition that
we've seen that
you can make work. Yeah, and does very, very well. Pressure would be the name of that game, and so Dignitas just kind of being mindful of that, and NRG being mindful. of the Morrigan pick, and nice ban there.
Yeah, I think that is a choice ban right there. Looking at the characters that you've sort of amassed so far, Energy, got to ban that out. I think that's the right call.
Now Dignitas has one more ban. They've got some warriors on the table to take away. Robin is an option if you're worried about that Camazotz still being in that solo lane and you're worried about adapting, potentially pulling it out. If you believe that's Camazotz in the jungle and you're looking for warrior bans, Bellona's not a bad one.
Yeah.
Has a decent matchup up against Cucullin. Cucullin has no way to interrupt that bludgeon without committing the ultimate. And of course, Maniac is Bellona. Like that's the kind of god that he loves to play. It fits his playstyle very well. And even if a lot of other solo laners aren't necessarily playing it right now, it would still be a phenomenal pick for them.
So Energy have their 4th pick, like we said. Still not sure where the bat's going to go. Still looking for a support player. And depending on where Camazotz goes, well, the Sobek still keeping us in the dark. It's a very good play by Energy here. Again, we talked about Rafa on these aggressive supports. Love those choices, but still keeping that ambiguity here. Always want to do that to the last choice.
But Terra does pretty well into Sobek because you can't get knocked up or plucked backwards whenever you've got a monolith up. And Nemesis does pretty well into Sobek because even if he commits in with that charge prey, you throw the Nemesis ult on top of him, and then all of a sudden, even if he goes into lurking in the waters, he's got no protections, and you can kind of cut him up pretty quickly with the help of your team. So a little bit of a risky pick here from Rafa on the Sobek.
So I was going to bring up other characters, maybe Ares, who has a fantastic cripple, who would actually do very well against the squad.
Yeah.
But you still have to go a character that can peel for AMC.
Yes.
That's the reason we still see the Sobek.
That's what I was going to say. Ares, yeah, you look at the list, even before that Raijin pick, Cucullin, Terra, Nemesis, yeah, give me a cripple, man. I'm all about it. And not a lot of CC immune ultimates there either. Only Terra and Nemesis, or only Cucullin, I should say, who has one. That would have been a phenomenal pick, but you're right. Just not enough peel in that scenario. Camazotz, no CC whatsoever outside of a slow.
Zero.
AMC has got a slow and a cripple, but no one cares about it if you're jumping on top of him. Kronos has a long cooldown stun. Energy needed CC that was hard and guaranteed, not that sort of Ares chain cripple.
I think this might be rough for the AMC on Energy because again, when you pick the AMC early on, sure you got to worry about these characters, but you also have to worry about the characters on your side of the map. Are they going to be able to protect me? I mean, when we saw AMC picked in the past, it was Neath mid lane. It was 4 protect 1 strategy for Amuse and Cobb. We've obviously gone a long way since then. Meta shifted, characters changed, etc. But even still, AMC very vulnerable.
But that's the thing, is that even when it looks like it's a last pick and like oh yeah, this will work, you go into a game and you have potential gods that you can pick.
Sure.
And depending on what you draft, no one, I can't imagine a scenario where a team has gotten their first 4 picks and they say, what do we want in Hunter selection? And have no clue. You are always drafting with the idea that AMC is on the table in that scenario. So even if you end up picking differently, you might still go for the AMC. And again, this is Energy probably saying, we don't want Dignitas to have it, and we believe in Yaman or whoever it is in order to play it well enough, despite all the counters that Dignitas could have.
Well, I think the Cabrakan is certainly a look in the right direction. If you're looking for peel, Cabrakan can bring some of the best. A big stun, the tremors, which are annoying as hell, and then, of course, the wall. You're not really getting through there. Characters on the side of Dignitas can't really make that jump. At least Terra, Nemesis, Raijin can't. That's a big deal. So I like the Cabrakan selection.
Interesting. I wonder if Cabrakan is going to be in the solo lane for Maniac. It doesn't have that sort of stun to interrupt your clear that most Cabrakans used to be picked for in that solo lane. If it's something like Bellona or Xing Chen where you want to interrupt the knock-up combination. But Cabrakan in this scenario, because of that rage factor from Cucullin, because of the fact that he's going to be using that vent anger to put out those pulses of damage that are unavoidable for Cabrakan, it's going to stack up that passive pretty quickly. Not the passive that reduces the damage, but for the refractive shield, where he's going to need that stacked up by getting damage onto him in order to guarantee that stun. Variety's not going to have a choice. That's a big counterplay around Cabrakan. Just don't hit him, and he can't stun you twice. He can only stun you once. Cucullin might not have that option, especially whenever he's in that rage form, where that mystical mail effect is always happening.
Just zapping out, yeah. And you know, when it comes down to it, you took the analytical approach, so that'll open the door for Cabrakan. Just feels like more of a Maniac god. Running at you with the walrus hands, as Totally likes to say, just looking for the stun. I think that's much more Maniac than the Camazotz, like the long range and looking for that sort of nonsense. And Energy's jungler adapting, certainly an assassin player.
Also really good into Jingwei, Nemesis, Terra. All of those gods get blocked off by that wall pretty well. Jingwei, of course, having the ultimate. Raijin can go up over top of it, as can Cullen. But those other characters that need the dashes, and especially Terra, whose dash is usually telegraphed because she wants to get that double dash. You need to wait until you can put down the Monolith or the Crushing Earth. You're going to be able to wall that off with the Cabrakan ultimate pretty well.
Yeah, so certainly a good look. It will be Maniac on the Bracken Boy and adapting on the Bat.
And it is Yemen in the mid lane on the AMC as well. So this is because NRG wants to make sure ML is getting as much farm as possible. AMC, his early and mid game is great. His late game's great too, but
his late game is fantastic.
Every part of the game's good for AMC as long as he's alive. That's always the caveat with AMC. But you're not worried about how little farm he's getting in the mid lane because he's going to be able to do significant damage with the abilities and the basic attacks, even if he's a little bit behind the opposition. Whereas Kronos really needs to be at least even, if not ahead. And we saw how well Emilito farmed last game. He was the first to level 20, I believe, certainly on NRG. So they're giving him as much free farm as possible and allow him to be that late game carry.
Zeros on the rise next to Arkle on the Jingwei this time. And again, the Hunter starting in the mid lane and leaving Terra by her lonesome over there on the left side. Terra doing what we've seen a number of times, separating the wave with her sort of rocks there. And the Cabrakan again bringing that level 1 power. No boots, trouble to walk out of that Tremor.
Tremor is so good at that early poke, that early lane clear. It really does it all for you, including that CC is now in trouble. Dignitas is getting pinched.
Yeah, Zero's already down to 1 slap, and it's Yaman with the bees. That takes him down. First blood and the follow-up kill. Adapting on the Batman.
So it's all great whenever Arco gets to come to mid, help Zero's push, get the buffs, get everything like that. But when they both get killed and Trixang's sitting there like, sorry guys, I was in the lane by myself. Now Cubo's in some trouble, still has that second dash, uses it wisely, quick
nice
purification beads as well. But now Variety's got to be worried.
Everybody just sort of getting in trouble. The group up from NRG proving fruitful. And yeah, like you said, I mean, so the trick of sort of leaving Trix by himself there, I mean, that works out sort of. I don't want to say it only works once, but NRG adapted to it exactly the way they needed to.
They've got better push power in mid than they did in game 1. They've got better push power in solo than they did in game 1, and they just recognize that Dignitas is going to be able to get there in the mid lane, sure, first, but we're not going to be as far behind in mid, and our solo is going to be able to rotate instead of Dignitas is having pressure. Dig has got to call off those fire elementals before NRG gets there, because they should have known that Adapting and Maniac are going to outclear in that scenario. Maybe some rust against facing off Cabrakan, you forget how good his level 1 clear is, but even then, Dignitas just says, hey, we got outcleared, get off fire elementals. Yeah. But by that time, Dignitas had committed so much that they were just trying to burn it and get out. They don't burn it, they don't get out, and it's already NRG with a pretty substantial lead.
For me, it was also the control that the Cabrakan brought. Like, yes, his ability to clear the wave was fantastic, but also those players sort of getting stuck in there all the way down to sub 50%. That was problematic. And then following into the jungle, well, you're just going to get stomped on. So tough stuff there. Emilito versus the support, Trixtank. Looking for this last shot. Waiting. And the dash forward.
Got it.
Nice job.
Now ML sprint popped by Trix. I think he wanted to go in, but forgot that Arca was only level 3. Maniac didn't forget about Variety, though, is adapting again on this right-hand side. That's twice in 2 games that Variety has gotten ganked in the early game with just adapting showing up.
Not even with the ultimate. Adapting level 4 doesn't even have to commit to the swoop. Just gets him with the long-range Screech, and Maniac continuing things.
And that's a great timing for a gank in that solo lane, too, because look at the right side of the map. Nothing is up. Dignitas' right side back camps just respawned, but they were down whenever Adapting was throwing that gank away. So Raffer's in mid, soaking up that farm, and Adapting has nowhere else to be. May as well try and get a kill, get your lane farm either way. Really well timed by Adapting.
Raffer, on the other hand, tries to go invade those harpies by himself. Does have a solo laner for help.
Looking like Frezzy, but he lived.
That was rude.
He lived.
All right, sure. Still, gotta watch your tongue.
Yeah, Raffer's gonna be mad at me about that one. He called me a human Ratatosker.
I mean, I see it.
I don't. I just wanted explained more than anything else. I'm just confused.
Well, Gremlins are going to go the way of NRG. Fight here. Variety looking for Raffer. Nice knockup with the ultimate. Dash forward to get him secured in the ultimate. Now Raffer looking for the turnaround damage onto what could be Trick's tank, and Yaman destroys Variety by turning in the Stinger.
Really nice play there by NRG, and fortunate for them that Raffer went into the solo lane and hit level 5 at the perfect timing, because if he didn't have that ultimate, he probably falls in that scenario. Yaman comes in and just smacks down Dig with one Stinger. That was a big burst of damage that they really weren't ready for. For as good as Dignitas' start was in Game 1, it's equally bad here in Game 2. Already down 5-0, 2,500 gold at less than 5 minutes.
This is that swing. I always mention it, and listen, there are like those broadcasting cliches that we all kind of roll our eyes at, but like, this is the team that gets mad. This is really, in all actuality, a team that gets mad when they lose. They really do. And NRG, that's why I said like reality check, you know, half joking. Like, NRG's a squad that you really just can't make this angry.
And they do feel that way, and it's not in a bad way. It's in a motivational sort of we've got to pick it up. You know, what are we doing? Sort of anger at themselves more than anything else, and it fits them very well. It ends up working out for them. It's tough to take the 2-0 against NRG, and it's almost always, if you beat them in Game 1, they almost always come back and stomp you back in Game 2. It works really well for them.
We used to do the season ticket. Now you choose one team, you choose the other team, or you choose a split. Believe it or not, you used to have to choose the direction in which the split went. I used to nail it with NRG. Because you'd be like, well, if they're going to split, they're just losing Game 1. There's no way that they're losing Game 2 whatsoever. And you know what? I used to be right.
You were rolling in the FP?
Oh, man, I had all the free FP.
What about these days?
These days?
Little less?
No. In fact, you know how much FP I got last week?
How much?
You can find out yourself on youtube.com/f.ny. I put out weekly prediction videos. You're welcome. Oh, well. NRG 5 up, 6 minutes in. Team Dignitas looking way up at what is a very strong lead this early on. Relatively speaking, 3,000 gold means a lot more now than it does later in the game.
And it's the problem for Dignitas is that it's every single lane. Arkill's getting bullied on the left-hand side because he got killed on his little mid-push at the beginning of the game. The mid lane is behind because Zero's got first blooded in that same engagement, and Yaman's been able to pick up 2 kills and 2 assists. He's level 9. Tied for the highest level in the game right now. And it's Maniac who's ahead because Variety got ganked, and he's already died twice as well.
Yep.
So every single lane is in NRG's favor. In these sorts of games, if you got one lane that's surviving, there's always that glimmer of hope. You know, oh, Arkill can still carry her. Well, at least Zeros isn't behind. You can't say that about anywhere for Team Dignitas right now. Cuvo seems to be the closest, but if you look at the XP per minute, he's third on his team. He's behind Arkill and Zeros, so he's really not that close to where Adapting is in terms of XP. Now he picks up another kill in the solo lane.
Just rough stuff for Team Dignitas to really deal with here. But yeah, Cuvo right down about a level and a half. Even still, I look towards the Nemesis as the character that I'm going to have to ask to do the heavy lifting. Trig's tank stuck in the mud.
Kabrakin is still good. If you had any question, it's so much surprise burst damage. No surprise how much control he brings, but that was a ton of damage on the Trix tank, who just has no magical protection yet. That's the big thing. It's so hard to itemize against these Guardian solo laners that can deal damage to you early. Sobek, yeah, he's not going to hurt you this much in the early stages. Kabrakin will, and he'll CC you just as much as Sobek can as well.
For me, it's about the control that he brings. I mean, Kabrakin, sure. I think that Maniac probably wants to play Guardian in this position anyway. But when you look at the characters that can't get over that wall on the side of Team Dignitas, that's a selection that, like you said, you go into a pick and ban with at least 2 strategies, right? But then each player has their own pocket picks. And I'm sure when Maniac got down there, it was like, yo, I can play this Kabrakin. It'll counter X, Y, Z, ABC. And NRG goes, yeah, do it, right? And he just locks in. And he goes, all right, I'm 2-0-5. It's 8.5 minutes. You guys, is the Kabrakin working out?
Well, look, let's make this very clear. Any pro player, you talk to them about their god pool. Oh yeah, I could play that. You know, oh my solo Nemesis is sick. Trust me. And then
that's the worst example you could have given.
Well, some players probably think they have a solo Nemesis, and it's not very good. Some of them, it probably works out well, and that's the thing. You got to do enough experimentation to where, okay, you know, yes, that is actually really good, or no, you know, please never play Bakasura again. Those are kind of the two directions that can go, and clearly Cabrakan is in the A+ category for Maniac, at least thus far.
Yeah, Maniac historically, you know, put on a show with the Cabrakan. So happy he's back in the league. Very exciting player to watch. He's spending this split with NRG. Last split he was with Obey Alliance, and the split before that, Nowheresville.
Yeah, Obey spent a lot of time with them and looked really, really good while doing it. And just surprising enough, if you're just coming back to the SPL, maybe you've been away or just haven't been watching, and to see NRG make a roster change, you knew that someone must have been A, very, very impressive, and B, they must have really needed to, they must have really felt like they needed to make a change with how long this roster is stuck together, with how much success this roster has seen, and Maniac certainly fits that bill. He has been excellent in Season 4.
And he allows the team to stay aggressive. Final round of Gremlins taken down by NRG Esports there. He allows the team to stay aggressive. Raffer caught a bad spot, collapsed on by 4 players, and just like that, Team Dignitas on the board. Still have a lot of ways to go, Ryan, but certainly one step towards that 5K gold lead.
3 ultimates used. Probably only needed 1 or 2, as long as one of those is the Nemesis ultimate. But that's what happens when you're behind, man. You need something. And
just push the buttons.
Dignitas may as well all in commit. But this does open the door for NRG to try and get these right side buffs in their favor. They're both about to spawn on a Dignitas side of the map, and look at where NRG is positioning. They're down a player right now, but they're up so much gold, they still feel like they can find this invade.
Yeah, and still, Yaman has to be careful here. Very susceptible. But it's the rest of the Team Dignitas making their rotation. Speed buff still under contest, and there it goes down. Able to pick up is Cubo Fred. Big knockup coming out from the solo lane, however. Adapting, trying to get away as Variety now chasing. Maniac with the 3-man tremble, and Yaman caught up right in the crosshairs. Down goes the Bumblebee. Trick Tank completely out of mana, has to get out of this one. And NRG Esports, they sniff around. They don't even get the buff, and they lose their mid lane AMC.
This is how to fight from behind 101 by Dignitas. You find someone who is a little bit too confident and out of position. You kill them. Check. Then you take the numbers advantage. You allow NRG to put themselves in a spot where they're still playing aggressive, and then you punish them for it. Really, really well played by Dignitas.
I like that grab. Dash interrupted. Honestly, a good thing that the dash is interrupted.
So smart. That was so good by Zero. Such a quick change of direction. Adapting was waiting for where he wanted to land in the middle of the lane. Zero's, from the time he gets knocked up to the time he hits the ground, had already changed his mind. He had already found a better path out. Now, could Adapting have looped around the bottom side and met him there? Probably, but he doesn't know where the rest of Dignitas is.
Exactly.
So you're making him second guess, making him hesitate, and in the end, making him drop the potential kill. He didn't drop it, I should say, but just make him think twice about it because of how good the pathing was.
So impressive. Keep in mind, this is and it's fun to give props to things like that, things like the jump away from the Sobek ultimate. Portal Demon likely to go the way of NRG, and it will. Nice play, because they're mechanical, sure, but the mechanics of those actions come almost secondary. It's the mindset, it's the adaptation, it's the quickness that's really impressive.
Everyone can hit ultimates or hit ability. It's a matter of how quick your decision making is at this level, and that's what we always try and highlight, is when these players make quick decisions, and it all looks very easy from a top down. But you can, everyone who's played the game has been in a scenario where there's so much happening at once and you're under pressure, and so you don't think quite as quickly as you normally would. And it's so impressive what these players are able to pull off.
What's fun for me is that those are 2 separate players on Dignitas that we've talked about in that regard. This is a very talented team. It's not a mistake that they're so high up on the standings. Although right now, NRG certainly doing their work.
And this is a big confidence boost for NRG if they can pull this one off as well, because they know that Dignitas is one of, if not the best teams in the world right now, and NRG knows they haven't been playing quite as well as of late. Sometimes it's all you need is just the kind of reminder like, hey boys, we are really good at Smite game. Like, we can play with these guys and we can crush them too, which is what they're looking to do to Dig.
Well, NRG right now looking to crush this tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Defense put on by a couple of players by Team Dignitas, but they might get in trouble for it. Nice shell, saves the life of Cubo Fred for the moment. Tier 1 tower goes down, and NRG still looking to press. The ultimate out of Zeros, not enough to really confirm a kill. but enough to chase the players away. No deaths, but 500 gold in the pocket for NRG.
And that's all they want. And they realized that they were put a little bit out of position last time around that invade. So this time played a little bit more conservative. Take what you can get. And then this is a response time check. Will Dignitas come and check this? Probably not. Arkill's not going to get there in time. That's going to go down in favor of NRG. And now that's just another like, hey, Dignitas, come try and stop this. NRG probably doesn't full commit to that. Maybe they do if they know that its ultimates are down because zeros and tricks without ultimates. But if Cuvo and Variety show up, that's probably either an engagement or a back away. This is NRG playing a lot more cautious and a lot more intelligently than they were earlier.
See, I love that Gold Fury kill as Arkle dashes away. I love that Gold Fury kill specifically because you've gotten rid of the safety space in that mid lane. You go and you contest the Gold Fury. Variety gonna fall down like the Gold Fury. Maniac just ground pounding, just down B the whole time while his teammate cleans up. Love it. Cubo Fred next on the menu. Down B, ground pound. And Cubo Fred might get away. Adapting, gonna miss the screech. The Raffer's here. Won't miss it that time.
Adapting as speed buff, even with Cubo Fred having the stone cutting sword, not enough movement speed.
I love Kabrakin, man.
He's good. Sometimes, you know, you can just walk up slowly and ground pound.
Just boom, boom, boom. Just going for it. So much control the Maniac brings out there with it. Left side still. NRG on the top side of this team fight. Ultimate down for Arkle. Aegis not going to save you, buddy. Down he goes. Double digits. Raffer with his first kill of the game.
Such good positioning by Adapting again. NRG just working together as a unit. They know what the possible outs are for Arkle in that scenario. Airstrike towards lane, airstrike towards mid lane. So Raffer is kind of floating. As soon as he sees Arkle commit, he heads over to the duo lane where Adapting already was. He was already there waiting for him. Really, really good play by NRG, who just looked very, very clean in this game.
So before we've known NRG to run the scene, and I think in Season 2 when they win World Championships, no one's close. Season 3, a little bit closer. Is this the first time that NRG views themselves as not the best team in the world?
I wouldn't be surprised if NRG still viewed themselves as the best team in the world. I think if I was on NRG, I would still view myself as the best team in the world because they've won the last 2 World Championships and they've had plenty of times where they don't look like the best team, quote unquote. They've started so many splits where everyone's saying, "Oh man, did you see NRG? They're trash now. Like Twitch chat hates them. You know, they're trash again." But they never are. They're always near the top.
Right side, trouble with the curve. Variety falls down at number 5. 0-5-1. For the player that looks like the most impressive of 2017.
ML and Arkle trying to take the 1v1, but Cuvo doesn't respect it. He comes in, but Yaman's not respecting it either. Off the mark with a stinger, though. But Cuvo still needs to throw out the ultimate just to get the movement speed.
Yeah, movement speed and the slowdown on Yaman as well. Shot not going to hit for Cuvo Fred. You know, I think I phrased the question incorrectly. The zeros falls down to Adapting. NRG will always think they're the best team in the world. Is this the most adversity you think NRG has ever faced?
Yes. Ever since their first World Championship, yes. And this is what they do whenever they think that they've got some adversity. Oh. They obliterate
Laughing the whole
top
way.
Team.
Laughing the whole way. Blink forward. There's the wall. There's the collapse. A brief moment while Trickstank gets the stun off. But the wraparound from Raffer. And Adapting 8-0-7. That's game, folks.